Welcome into another episode of Full Count Detroit. We're happy to have you on today's Wednesday edition. It is episode number 7 of Full Count Detroit. We'll be unpacking how the Detroit Tigers are one win away from 60 wins. They sit at 59 and 34 on a 5-game win streak, getting their 21st series win of the season with a win last night over the Rays and some clutch hitting from some players like Colt Keith. We'll get into him a little bit later. After that, we'll go into the Erie Seawolves, and then we'll preview tonight's game where Reese Olson will be taking on Zach Littell, who's allowed a lot of home runs. And I'll have my Tiger pick for who can hit a home run tonight as the Tigers look for another series sweep to go 6 wins in a row. Well, let's dive into the win from last night. The Detroit Tigers, huge win. Jack Flaherty, amazing outing, 6.1 innings pitched, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. He pitched really well, I thought, in my opinion. He was able to mix up his pitches. He stayed down in the zone, not a whole lot high in the zone, but those last couple innings in Washington, he was really able to, pitch like himself. And I think that's what he had struggled with a couple, weeks back. But Flaherty played amazing. Ryan Pepiot for Tampa Bay, really good outing as well. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, and then 6 strikeouts. Will Vest gets the save for the Detroit Tigers. Tommy Cadenley came in. He gets out of that one after Flaherty. Tyler Holton comes in. He gets a 1-2-3 with a slick play by Tyler Holton there. And then Will Vest, like I said, came in and shut him down. We'll start from the top, though, in the first inning. Jack Flaherty, I thought it was a really well-rounded inning. The one hit, the one hit was the home run to Jonathan Aranda, who is absolutely smoking the ball and 100% deserves to be an all-star, and that he is. But he was able to get strikeouts. Jack Flaherty, like I said, going out, he's had a really efficient outing, able to stack some outs. A 1-0 lead for Tampa Bay, and then Detroit doesn't do much. There's a 7 pitch inning, I think, for Ryan Pepiot. Really efficient, gets the Tigers out of that. Tigers go 1-2-3 in the second as well. Flaherty gets out of a 2-out or a 2-on nobody out jam. Really good pitching from there to get him out of it. And then Jonathan Aranda again gets a double, sets up Josh Lowe to drive him in. It's 2-0. Tigers get 2 on, can't do much with it. Um, Flaherty gets out of a fourth after walking the first guy, and then it's a torque bomb on a Tuesday, 360 feet. Spencer Torkelson, 98.2 mile per hour exit velo. Tigers don't do much else with it, but Spencer Torkelson gets home run number 21. Jonathan Aranda smoked the line drive straight at Spencer Torkelson in the top of the fifth, and he was able to just tag the bag, get the out, and the Tigers got out of it there. And then the bottom of the fifth is a huge inning for the Detroit Tigers. High quality at bats. McKinstry gets a 5-pitch walk, and then he steals second. Matt Vealing hit by a pitch, and then Keith with a huge, timely, clutch hitting drives it the opposite way, and it's 2-2. That is a true value at bat for the Detroit Tigers. Value plays from value players. Colt Keith, huge value. And I think a lot of people got to remember he's only 23 years old, and he's coming out and he's playing really good ball for the Tigers. We talked about him a lot yesterday, and we'll talk about him a lot tomorrow with our deep dive into Colt Keith tomorrow. Um, but yeah, true value. Torres with the long at bat to extend the inning. Nothing else gets going though. In the sixth, it's another great inning from Flaherty. Tigers don't do much in the sixth after Dingler grounds into a double play. Top of the seventh, Flaherty's outing ended after a single. Canely comes in, gets out of it. And when you see it comes in, this was another huge inning. We talk about the bottom of the fifth, and you talk about the bottom of the seventh. You go look at this game, and those are the 2 innings you're going to want to look at. And those are the 2 innings that obviously pop out at you. Edwin Ucia comes into the game. McKinstry walks. He steals second. Baez gets him on a sacrifice fly to third. And then Colt Keith, timely players with timely hitting. Colt Keith gets number 8, 394 feet, 101 miles per hour off the bat. Back-to-back days with home runs and back-to-back days with a 390 feet or longer home runs. It was just a changeup left over the plate, and Colt Keith really come in, take advantage of that. 89 mile per hour left over the heart of plate, and he just whacks it over the fence. Great from him. We talked about Tyler Holton coming into that game. 1-2-3, like I talked about with a slick play. Tigers get back-to-back walks. Great at bats. They leave the bases loaded though, and trying to add some insurance runs. And then Will Vest comes in, shuts it down, and we talked about that. But I think you guys can tell who's going to be our MVP. For the first time in this podcast history, we have back-to-back MVPs, and that is Colt Keith. July 8th MVP. He goes 2 for 3 with a home run, 1 single, one walk, three RBIs. He's got four extra base hits in 2 games, four RBIs in 2 games, and two home runs in as many games. He was playing amazing. There was a lot really going for this Tigers team. We talked about those three RBIs. He's a 270 hitter right now, and we'll deep dive into him a little bit tomorrow more. But he's got an 800 OPS, and we'll dive into those advanced metrics tomorrow. But the way he played today, going 2 for 3, getting a walk. Yes, he struck out, but he was clutch hitter. Every single time he's coming up, he's having productive at bats. The Tigers all around had productive at bats. Spencer Torkelson with a couple productive at bats. Zach McKinstry was 0 for 2, but he scored 2 runs. That's productive there down at that 7 slot. We'll get in a little bit to him. And Zach McKinstry, there was a chance for him to be an All-Star. Alex Bregman not going to be able to play in the All-Star game, so Junior Caminero replaces him. Caminero has more home runs, more RBIs, but in almost every other stat, Zach McKinstry is better. And Zach McKinstry, I think, brings 100% more value to this Tigers team than Junior Caminero brings to that Rays team. But it's unfortunate. Zach McKinstry really has been playing amazing ball these last couple days. And I think if he was around that 10 to 11 home run mark, he'd 100% be an all-star without a doubt. And Caminero, just a couple minutes ago, has elected to play in that home run derby. It's really good for him with his first full season. Amazing season from Junior Caminero, and nothing but props to him and how he's having a great season. But Zach McKinstry, I think he's been snubbed. But like I said, Junior Caminero playing amazing this season, and he 100% deserves to be an all-star without his stat lines. But Zach McKinstry, I think, had a little bit of a better stat line. But like I said, Caminero, good for him getting into the all-star game. We'll go around the Central. The Minnesota Twins get their series opening win 8-0. The Kansas City Royals win Game 2 versus the Pirates. Blue Jays get it done in a rain-shortened seventh-inning game versus the White Sox 6-1, and then Cleveland wins in extras 10-6 versus Houston, and the Tigers have a 14-game lead on the AL Central, the largest division lead in all of baseball. Royals and Twins both 14 games back on the Tigers. Guardians 15.5, and then the Chicago White Sox are 28.5 games back. The Detroit Tigers have the highest run differential in the American League. We talked about that yesterday, and they're only behind a couple teams, or they're behind one team for run differential, and that is the Chicago Cubs, who have a 119 run differential. The Detroit Tigers have a 112. 5-game win streak, 8-2 in our last 10. The Detroit Tigers are playing amazing baseball, and another team who's playing really great baseball is the Erie Seawolves. Last night was the debut of Max Clark, Kevin McGonigal, and Jose Briseño. The lineup was really good in a 4-1 win over Harrisburg. Max Clark leading off. That's the organization's number 2. The MLB number 12. Thyron Lorenzen, the organization number 5. The MLB number 88. That's the rankings. Kevin McGonigal, organization number 1. MLB number 7. He's got a chance to be the best prospect in all of baseball come by the end of the season. Max Anderson, organization number 22. He's in trade talks and trade rumors. We'll get into a little bit next week. Jose Briseño, organization number 4. MLB number 58. Jake Holton not ranked in the organization. Justice Big B, I should say, organization number 26. Roberto Campos, organization number 21. And then Jim Jarvis at third base rounding out that line. That is an absolute incredible lineup. From top to bottom, that lineup can come in, that lineup can play games, that lineup can go out and win games. And that's exactly what they've done. You are back-to-back Double-A Eastern League champions in the last 2 seasons. The Seawolves are just being dominant, and the top prospects don't end with the pitchers, or don't end with the hitters. They get to the pitchers. Jaden Ham, who has really been an amazing prospect for the Detroit Tigers organization, he's climbed up those prospect rankings. He's the organization's number 7. Jake Miller, the 8th-round draft pick out of Valparaiso, he's another guy who's up there, 22nd or 15th, I should say, in the organization, picked in 2022. Joseph Montalvo, the organization number 17, he was part of the Andrew Chafin trade last year. Tyler Matson, the 4th-round pick in 2021, organization number 25. The organization number 29, RJ Pettit, picked a 405th by the Detroit Tigers in 21, which would put him as a back-end pick. He was a 14th-round pick. And then finally, rounding out the star-studded lineup is the Tigers' 30th best prospect, Yosper Sanchez. This Erie Seawolves team from Yugo pitchers, and I just named how many pitchers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I just named 6 pitchers in the Tigers' top 30. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hitters in the top, or 7 hitters, I should say, in the organization's top 30. That is 13 guys in the organization's top 30 on the Seawolves team, and they are not. It's not guys who are 15 and lower. There's Jaden Ham, who's 7th, Max Clark, who's 2nd, LaRonson, who's 5th, McGonigal, who's 1st, Briseno, who's 5th. All their top 5 prospects, outside of Bryce Rayner, who's in Lakeland right now, injured, are in that top 5. And this Detroit Tigers team, and this Erie Seawolves team, and this Mud Hens team in Toledo, and the Whitecaps in West Michigan, and the Flying Tigers in Lakeland, they have star-studded lineups that are going out and they're winning games. There's not a better farm system in baseball than the Detroit Tigers. Come in and day out. There's prospects that the Tigers can count on for the next 5 to 10 years to come in and actually play ball. I should rephrase that, from the next 3 to 6 years, come in and play ball. Your AAA team is stacked with guys who have played in the majors, and that's a lot of AAA teams, but a lot of AAA teams tend to have older pitchers. This Tigers team has younger guys who can come out and play amazing. They got a couple guys injured right now, but you still have a guy like Matt Manning, Ty Madden, who's injured right now. Those are both guys who put up consistent numbers last year and the year before that. This farm system, I stress it every single time we talk about the farm system. Next week we'll talk about Toledo. This is amazing. It really doesn't get better than this, and I've stressed it so much. There is not a team in baseball. I'm going to go out and say it now. There's not a team in baseball better than the Tigers. In standpoint right now. You have the best farm system in baseball. You're the best record in baseball, and you have a lower payroll than a lot of teams. Yes, you're paying Javi Baez, and a couple of years that payroll is probably going to jump to a top 10 payroll. You're going to have to pay Green. You're going to have to pay Scooble. It's all a matter of fact of when that salary cap goes in and if it goes into effect, and that's something the owners want to do, but we'll get into that a whole nother time when the CBA comes. And the way it's looking, it's going to be a lockout in 2027. So we'll have a ton of time to talk about a new CBA then. But this farm system amazing for the Tigers, and I love just talking about the prospects in this team or in this organization. And if you're in the Erie area, you got to go out and watch this team. Exciting, and they're getting a revamp for the Moon Mammoths. There's going to be a couple games as that. They got a whole new mascot for that. This is just an exciting team, and I really like highlighting these teams like Erie. But we'll get into that. We'll get into Toledo next week and talk more prospects next Wednesday. But let's get into tonight's game. Tigers taking on the Rays, got pushed back to 5-10. We'll still have Reese Olson versus Zach Littell on the bump, I should say. Littell 7-7, Reese Olson 4-3. Littell's ERA 3.5, and then 3.50, 3.5. He's allowed 24 home runs, though. That is a lot of home runs in 110 innings of work. Reese Olson, 3 home runs in 53 innings of work with an ERA of 2.89. Strikeouts, though, Littell not getting a whole lot of them. Reese Olson, it did get a whole lot of them. Just the difference there. Littell definitely a contact pitcher, pitch to contact. But a lot of hits allowed for Littell, 103. Only 76 strikeouts, 15 walks, so he's keeping guys off the base path, giving them free bases. He's getting outs, though, which are, it really depends on what your cup of tea is. If you want a strikeout pitcher, you got Scooble. If you want a guy who's going to pitch to contact, the Tigers have a lot of those guys. Kadir Montero, lower strikeout numbers. Mize, it really depends on the day with Mize. But it's so hard to get strikeouts in the MLB, and Scooble's one of the best guys at that. Littell's strikeout numbers, obviously not as high as the pitch to contact guy, like I just said. Tiger to get a home run tonight? Let's throw in Trey Sweeney. Trey Sweeney got his first home run off a fastball in his MLB career on Sunday, and I think it's lefty-righty. Littell giving up a lot of home runs. If Trey Sweeney goes deep tonight, that is number 6 for him on the season. All 5 of his home runs so far this season are against left-handed pitching. I'm 4-8 so far. Not great, but I think the Tigers got this one. I think Trey Sweeney's got this one. But that does it for this episode of Full Count Detroit. Thank you for listening. Join us tomorrow on Thursday as we go to recap the Tigers' game versus the Rays, and then we'll talk a little bit about a Colt Keep deep dive. And then on Friday, we'll have our draft special. We'll talk a little about who the Detroit Tigers will be taking in the MLB draft. But that does it for this Wednesday edition. Thank you for listening, and have a good day.